Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy and that you find as much joy in our service as I do. I really do look forward to this time together where we can connect for a time of reflection. We welcome you this morning to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Xiomara Rodriguez, and my pronouns are she, her, and ella. And I am honored to serve as your worship associate today. We're about to enter a sacred time. We're about to make this time and this place sacred by our presence and intention. Please, please turn off your phones or put them on mute. And as you do, I invite you to turn down all the volume on our fears, to loosen the armor around our hearts, to let go of expectations placed on you by others and those they taught us to place on ourselves. Let go of things you said the other day. Let go of things you dread to do this week. Be here in this moment. This community is what it is because of your presence. So welcome. Welcome to the space of love, support, justice, compassion, fellowship, and worship. We are glad you're here. We welcome all parts of us, regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender ID. If you're someone who is viewing us this time and it's your first exposure to us, feel free to contact our office or our website for more information, and it's also where you could fill out a newcomer form. You can sign up for our newsletter that keeps you informed of all the activities here at UUFNN. If you're on Zoom, you will remain muted throughout the service. You can make comments on the chat box almost at any time, but try to avoid the times when people are doing presentations, but especially doing joy and concerns. You will be invited to join us for coffee immediately after the service. Thank you so much for being with us, and remember, you are welcome here.
How wonderful it is to be in this space together for this time out of time this morning, a time that is held precious in a container of love and grace and mystery. This is a time, as Xiomara said, where we get to let go. We get to let go of that which is out there and in here, our to-do lists, our electronics, all of those things that would keep us from being fully present to connection. And so we take a moment now, let us take a deep breath together and intentionally let go in a way that we can come fully present to ourselves, fully present to each other, fully present to connection, and fully present to possibility.
Grayson, you want to come up? He's going to help us with the chalice lighting. And at this time, I want to ask everyone at home to please, if you have a chalice, this is the time to light it, okay? Thank you. We light this chalice to find inner peace. love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet, and kind to all living creatures, so greater around us, gather around this light of hope as we share this time together.
Enter, rejoice, and come in, fully present, and don't be afraid of some change. We're so delighted to have all of you who are joining us on Zoom and in this space, and have an exciting change I'm delighted to tell you about this morning. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you today our newest staff person, Nathan Bakken. Nathan is stepping into the position that was vacated by Kristen Famula over the summer. Nathan holds a Master of Divinity from Boston School of Theology and is originally from Seattle. And no one can tell you better about Nathan than Nathan. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you and welcome warmly with a huge UUFNN welcome to Nathan Bakken.
I confess, I'm a little bit taller than Reverend Karen. Thank you for that warm introduction. Before I tell you a little bit about myself, I want to just invite us to take a breath together. This can be as deep or as shallow as you need in this moment. We all breathe a little bit differently. So I just want to invite us to take a breath. Thank you. That was more for me. Like Reverend Karen said, my name is Nathan Bakken. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. And I am so overjoyed and honored to be joining the UFNN community. I am, like Karen said, originally from Seattle, Washington, and I moved to Boston for seminary, where I felt the call to lay leadership. I really think there's something to be said of those of us who are willing to do this work and don't feel called to the cloth. And so I come here with too many degrees. I come here with a loving partner who you will all meet eventually. His name is Devin. We have a wonderful 6-year-old pit bull named Sassafras, who you will meet. She will join me once a week in the office because she has a little bit of anxiety. And I am overjoyed to be coming in as the acting director of faith exploration and transformative learning. It's a mouthful. It's a little bit more exciting than religious education. And I'm really overjoyed to learn with you all, to work with you all, to hear the things you want to learn, and to accompany you all as you deepen your spiritual life as individuals and as a community. I am a certified spiritual director. I am a community chaplain. I come with 10 years of summer camp experience as a staff person, so there may be moments where I'm a little bit louder or a little bit more energetic than most of the room, and so if I need to calm down, please invite me to calm down. I welcome that, Nathan, you're being a little too extra right now, take a breath. And if I ever talk too fast, please invite me to slow down. I'm really excited to join this community. I can't wait to learn all of your names and learn what you need and how I can best serve you all. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I cannot wait to get to know everyone. And this journey is unfolding and beginning, and it has been the warmest welcome I've ever received, so thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. A religious community is like a river formed from the many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination and vision, our talents, skills and gifts, and the stream of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad. A river that is made of many streams, sustains life and refreshes the land through which it flows. But the river of this community also deepens on our shared financial support that makes real our shared values and visions. For those of us physically here, the basket will be passed soon. For those of you on Zoom, you can put your offering virtually by texting 73256, putting UUFNN in the message box and hit send, then follow the instructions to provide your offerings. You can also mail a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno, Nevada, 89511, but the slickest way to do it is to automatic giving. So contact the office and Carol will send you the automatic draft authorization, or you could fill it on the website. Here at UUFNN, we also give folks the opportunity to share our generosity by sharing with a designated nonprofit. Share the Plate recipient for August is Northern Nevada International Center. The NNIC resettles displaced people who are seeking security and safety. Currently, NNIC is assessing the situation in Ukraine and providing funds to organizations that are working to address the needs of Ukrainians in peril. Excuse me for the mispronunciation. In addition, since September 2021, NNIC has provided assistance to over 150 Afghan refugees. UUFNN has provided the care for dedicated and responsive volunteers who work with this family in a variety of ways. The volunteers commit to an ultimate goal of helping Reno's new citizens reach a self-sufficient. Our contribution assists families reach their goals and provide funding. We will now, at this time, receive the offerings for our religious community and the work of the world. You are invited to give. So now let the offering begin. Could you all help me with David? Bless his offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again,
So we return today to our UUFNN talk show on the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Today brings us to the Four Agreements. We have done the first three between May and the last couple of weeks. And as you know, the Four Agreements has become somewhat of a cultural icon. It's sold millions and millions of copies, has been known to be found in hotel room drawers instead of the Gideon Bible. And so we have begun to talk a little bit about the Four Agreements, laying them alongside our congregational covenant, and as a framework for how we might live aspirationally in some specific ways. And the Four Agreements originated with the indigenous Toltec people out of southern Mexico and have been passed down through generations and then shared on a wide public basis. And so you have been invited to spend some intentional time with the Four Agreements, try them on, try them out. I hope that you have had the opportunity to do that. I hope that you have had some experiential learning and ahas from that. And so we wanted to today go into the fourth agreement after the first three that we discovered and discussed. Agreement 1, be impeccable with your word. Agreement 2,
don't make assumptions.
that's 3.
Don't take anything personally.
That's 2. 2 is don't think anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. All of them tall orders, no less the fourth one for today, which is,
I aspire to always do my best.
I aspire to always do my best. So, Philip, as you have sought to discover and experience trying to live out the fourth agreement, what is it that you've discovered?
Well, Grace has a dear friend from high school. Her name is Stephanie Stuckey. And if any of you came from the East, you might have known of Stuckey's stores along the highways. Well, she recently bought out her father and re-energized that franchise. Stephanie is what you would call a dynamo. She's been not only a mother, but a state representative, the head of sustainability for the city of Atlanta, and now a CEO of this company, Stuckey's. And let me just say that when I think about my best, boy, do I wish my best was Stephanie Stuckey. She's amazing, but that is not my best, honestly. That is not who I am. I am not a CEO. I am who I am. And one of the things that the book talks a lot about, and it's kind of a key point in this chapter, is to truly recognize what is our best. And that changes for everyone. It changes every day. And one of the things that I'm exploring is what does it mean to do my best every day? But I'll stop there and say that's my biggest learning, is to really focus on what that means for me.
Philip, I wonder if you might have an example that you could share with us of a story of a time where you learned from experience that either you experienced yourself doing your best or maybe didn't.
Yeah, I went back and reread the book this morning because I've been getting a lot of messages about people believing that doing your best is really super achieving. And I can tell you my own experience is when my daughter Kiara was just born, I got very inspired to change the world on her behalf, specifically the area of food systems. And at one point, I was not only holding down a full-time job, but volunteering for 6 different nonprofit organizations. And literally, it got to the point where my wife said, you need to be home at least 3 nights a week for dinner, and because I was having so many meetings. And what I found out, Karen, in that situation for myself, through both Grace's feedback as well as my own mental state, was there was a point of breaking where I was doing more than was sustainable for myself, and therefore had to pull back to what was sustainable for myself and my family.
I think you make a wonderful point when you're talking about we have to discover what our best looks like for each of us. And I have also come to the place where I feel like our best often needs to be held in context situationally somewhat. There are often times in my work in ministry where I knew that maybe my best might be a little bit better if I just had a little more time on that particular thing, or if I just had a little bit more energy on this particular thing. And what I hope one of the learnings from COVID has been, maybe we don't have to be so hard on ourselves all the time. Maybe we can just be a little more gentle with ourselves. And so, Philip, for those of us who are terrified that we're not enough and who may tend toward being hard on ourselves, even toward perfectionism, help us with how we call ourselves to do our best and find the line that doesn't tip over into something unhealthy or even damaging.
Well, one suggestion I have is spend an hour with my yoga teacher. She's amazing and is always telling us about your practice today is what your practice is today. It's what it needs to be. So I'll give you all an example of recently I injured my shoulder, and it made certain positions in yoga very difficult. And being who I am, I said, I'll just do the positions. Well, what she taught me was that my body is telling me what my best is today, and it didn't involve those positions. And that's hard to hear, but that is really important, is to listen to ourselves and our body about what's, but off the yoga mat, I will give you another example. I was thinking about it this weekend because on Friday I typically do this. I mean, no one who knows me is going to be surprised with this. I go home and create a to-do list for my weekend. But what I've learned and what's important for me is that the to-do list doesn't fill up the entire weekend. That to-do list says, here's the things that definitely need to get done. Sometimes I ask grace, sometimes not. And then I do those, and when I've done those, I've set my intentions, and then I can spend that time recouping that I need to before I go back into my busy week. And I feel like both in a yoga practice where I go in knowing the limitations of my body and push against that without hurting myself, but also given all my experiences with burning myself out, go into a period of time knowing what my intentions is and live into that. Oftentimes I can define for myself what my best is. And I feel good about that. And that's one of the things that the book talks about, is how by doing your best, you leave aside those messages of guilt and shame because you've decided, you've understood what is your best. You've lived into that. And then you walk away and say, I did what I intended to do. So that's the best way I can say that, is set it for yourself and live into that.
Back in the fall, we did a series on some of Brene Brown's work, and one of the things that came out of that was a really interesting conversation where we asked ourselves and each other, do you think that most people are doing the best they can most of the time? And so we had a lot of conversation about that, and some really revealing and interesting conversations in the way that different ones of us answered that question and how we came to what we came to. And so the point that she was making, and that many of us came to, is that when we feel that most people around us are doing the best they can most of the time, which is a little like it's extending grace, I think, she suggests that we find that in general we are happier and more joyful and more accepting of other people and less disappointed most of the time. Is there a way that Philip, how do you see that fitting into what we're talking about? If there's a way to bring that lens.
Yeah, I thought what you were going to say, Karen, because what I took away from that was you're much more likely to believe that others are doing their best if you believe that about yourself, that if you start there. So I think I've shared this in some of our previous sessions, that the more that I can be quiet and listen to myself, the more I can be prepared to be quiet and listen to others. So it's a continual practice of being calm in yourself and accepting yourself before reaching out. And that, honestly, for myself, and Karen mentioned this earlier, the concept of being enough, that's a tough one for me, just to sit back and accept myself before trying to accept others. It seems very selfish and indulgent, but that's, I think, where I would go with that.
One of the things that I think helps me accept or try to move into or be in a place of understanding that most people are doing their best most of the time is to try and remember, and this is really important in raising a teenager, is to try and remember that life is a learning journey all of the time. Life is a learning, we're all on a learning journey all of the time. And I would even go so far as to say, maybe that's why we're here. It's not a destination, it's a learning journey. One of Brene Brown's, yes, I'm a big fan of Brene Brown, and this is a teaser, but one of her books is called The Gifts of Imperfection. And so what she's suggesting is that the whole way that we learn about life and grow and deepen our connections is by making mistakes and reveling, in a way, in our imperfections. So where does that line up with Ruiz's idea of always doing our best, Philip?
Yeah, again, a current moment of struggle, certainly for me, Karen, is about being in a place where I can accept those imperfections in myself and learn from them. My learning growing up was that someone was to blame, and the sooner you could be not the person blamed, the better off you would be, and that's not really a great way to deal with the inevitable human failures. And so where I'm learning right now is in accepting those and taking those as opportunities for growth as opposed to opportunities for shame. So I think, again, for me, where that lines up is that helps me stay more present. If I'm not in a shame cycle, then I'm more in a place where I can accept how others are doing and that they're doing their best.
Beautiful. So I'm going to offer one closing thought. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would. I'd just like to acknowledge the extreme amount of privilege that I have in having time to consider this and talk to you all about this. I don't know what it's like to not have that. I'll just be admitting of that. But I just feel the gratitude for the amount of time that I've had to even sit back and consider this rather than just have to bumble every day. So I want to express gratitude.
That's a great reminder. So we'll extend to you the invitation to take some intentionality with the 4 agreements. Maybe just one, maybe pick one for a day, a couple of days, a few days. See what you discover about having an aspirational intention toward living out as a framework one or more of the 4 agreements. So I would just say that perhaps we can really do our best at being imperfect and being on a learning, discovering, making mistakes, growing journey together.
Amen.
Blessed be. Let us take these few moments to enter into a time of meditation, and contemplation, and prayer. Joining our hearts, our minds, our spirits. May you feel the earth beneath your feet as it supports you. Feel the love of community as it surrounds and enfolds you. Feel your breath as it flows in and out of your body. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heart. And how is it with your heart? Does your heart feel whole, shielded by intellect, cocooned by reason, close or closed to feeling? Or does it feel broken, fragile to the touch, brimming with pain and loss? Has your heart been broken and healed so many times it now lies open to the world, knowing that true growth comes not without discomfort, often pain? Tears might wear down barriers. We may carry the hearts of others, even when our own feels too heavy to bear. None of us has an unblemished heart, not one of us. That kind of perfection can only be found after the end of life. And we who are alive still have much to heal. And so we give thanks today for the broken places in our hearts and in our lives. It's often through such brokenness that we really, really touch one another. And only through touching one another can our world be healed. So let us give thanks then for the brokenness that we share and share in common. Those of you who are on Zoom are invited to share what is uppermost on your hearts today in the chat as we share in this time of quiet reflection. We give thanks today for this community. We give thanks today for the fact that on Friday, the Supreme Court did the right thing in regards to black voters in Georgia. And it is my prayer this morning that that is signaling a new direction in terms of voters' rights. We give thanks today for new beginnings, new jobs, those starting school or college, a new program year here at UUFNN. We give thanks for the opportunity to begin again anytime we so desire. And so this morning we gather all that is on our hearts and we hold them together. Even those things held in such deep places, we have no words. And we hold them all together in the heart of love. And we offer a gesture one to another, which has become our custom, which is one hand on the heart, palm extended forward, energy extending outward, which is our reminder that in community we express to one another, I see you, I hear you. Let no one feel alone. Let us understand the mystery of connection that is community. Gratitude. Blessed be, and amen. I want to thank you so much for joining us for our service this morning, whether on Zoom or here in this space. We're delighted to have you here and hope that you received something that you needed from this time together. Just a reminder that we do feed hungry neighbors every Wednesday evening. I think that's around 125 at this point. And so the Reno Posse needs your help with that, and you can drop off water bottles, hats, single-serve granola bars, snacks, Capri Suns, those sorts of things. Specific details are in your weekly email, and they can be placed in the bins between the buildings on Wednesdays before early afternoon when they'll be picked up. You'll want to begin watching your email very soon as we begin to make some plans, Nathan and I, for some exciting opportunities that will be forthcoming in this fall. And I could not be more delighted to be on that planning journey with Nathan. And so we're going to dedicate our closing song to Nathan. I'm going to invite you to come forward and receive the love and the warm welcome. And you can rise as you are able, and you know what the song is. Beloved, would you receive the blessing? May we discover that not only does home indeed mean Nevada, and home indeed means UUFNN, but home may evermore be in those deepest places within. And that in so finding that deep within, we are able then to make home for others in our world, therefore changing and healing our world. Blessed be, amen, and namaste.